Hi, my name is Kunti Patel, and I will be answering 3 questions for the interviewing project for my HRM class. The first question is, tell me about yourself. So, I am 20 years old. I was born on October 11th, 1998. I was born in India in a state called Gujarat before I moved to New Jersey when I was 3 months old. I was born in India because my mom was actually studying there for a little while she was getting her PT degree. And she had me, it was unexpected, and we moved back here when I was 3 months old with just me and my mom. And I grew up in my mom's family, so I was growing up with 11 other people in the house, 4 of which are my cousins. I have 2 of my aunts, 2 of my uncles, and both my grandparents. So I grew up in a joint family, and we had a lot of Indian culture, a lot of Indian values. So I definitely come from a family where ethics and values, culture is a very that plays a very big role in my everyday life. I was growing up with a single parent, so I was generally sheltered from the outside world. I was also the youngest in the family, so I never really had much exposure to my surroundings, my city. I never really got to go out and explore. I had a lot of restrictions growing up, actually. Everything except really sports in school. With sports, I actually got into a lot of different activities. I was very active as a child. I played soccer, I did swimming, I did karate, I did volleyball, I did gymnastics for quite a while, and then high school came. I kind of changed my priorities and I started focusing on school moreover rather than sports and generally in that direction. And when I got to high school, I realized that I really loved science, and that was kind of the path I wanted to direct myself towards. So I applied to Temple as a biochemistry minor or major, and I got in. I continued for a year and a half before I decided that I didn't want the same things in my life. And so I decided to change my career path in the last semester. The second question is, tell me about a significant accomplishment in your life. So, in the summer of 2012, I actually moved to India. I moved back to India for 3.5 years, from about midway of 7th grade till the end of 10th grade, over there. So I finished quite a bit of school, most of my high school schooling over there, and I spent a lot of my teen years growing up. So moving there had played such an impact in my life. And I say that India is one of my biggest accomplishments because growing up in South Jersey in America, I must say that I was rather spoiled, compared to when I moved there and I was exposed to this new surrounding, this new environment, and I did not really know how to react to it. I didn't know how I was going to fit in, and it was all so overwhelming until I finally kind of got over the different changes around me. The temperature was extremely, extremely hot. I was complaining about it for maybe a year until I got fully accustomed to the weather and the food, the water, the clothes, your behavior, the way you walk, talk, the different people you interact with. It's very different, and looking back on it now, I'm very thankful to have moved there because now I've learned about this newfound aspect in my life, and I kind of have retouched my values and my culture when I moved there, and I'm very appreciative moving there, and I feel like I have learned a lot and I carried those values back with me. So when I moved back to high school in 2016, 2015, I was a completely different person. I changed in so many different ways, and when I came back to high school, it was the middle of high school, I did not realize exactly how much everyone else had changed too around me. So that was an accomplishment for me because I really learned how to train myself in adjusting with my surroundings and kind of going with the flow. And I think that really helps me in my everyday life now, and especially after changing my career path kind of from science towards business, I feel like it'll help me a lot more because it gave me a different look towards my surroundings and society and what I kind of want to give back to society. So the third question is, tell me about something you've learned in class. From day one, there was a certain emphasis put on the Wall Street Journal. Now, being a science major, I had no exposure to the business industry, and I didn't really have any familiarity with the vocabulary or any of the classes. So this was the first class that I'm taking that I'm like kind of understanding what business terminology is and how these different processes work, like hiring processes, recruitment processes, stuff like that. Like, I've learned a lot of different management styles. I've learned the different hierarchies within corporate governance, and so that is kind of cool for me to understand like how the chain works and how complex actually the organization can be, because there's a lot of different levels of management. And I think that's really interesting because I would aspire to one day make it to one of the higher levels, being a top 20%er in this class. So that's definitely something that I've learned in this class, putting certain importance and significance on the Wall Street Journal and keeping up with what happens in the industry every day, whether it's business, just news, or politics, anything. I think any exposure to the Wall Street Journal, any news, any type of news is really good to have if I'm going into the business field or line. A few certain things that I've learned from the Wall Street Journal is we learned that Uber and Lyft are having certain price differences. Apple is coming out with new products. Fox, Warner Brothers, they make deals. So these are like a few of the things that I've read about, and a few of the processes, like I had mentioned, that I read about was the recruiting process, hiring process, which was kind of interesting for me to learn because now I kind of understand what employers look for in an employee in wanting to recruit them or hire them. They kind of look for what stands out in someone, and I hope that one day when I'm applying to these jobs, I bring myself to the table in a way such that I want to and I intend to, because I hope to bring a lot to the field myself. So thank you for listening.